Hello there, boxing fans around the world. Thank you for joining me once again here on Talkin Fight for another episode of Boxing News Today. And today we're going to start off with a bit of good news out of Canada for Canadians. Congratulations are in order for Jessica Camara, who's been featured on Talkin Fight many times. The Cobra, she won the WBA Gold World Light title by a split decision against former world champ Hyun-Mi Choi, fighting out of Korea. Scorecards were 96 94, 98 92 for Camara, and 96 94 for Choi. And that was actually that was held in South Korea recently. Also, congratulations in order for Sarah Haghighat-Joo out of Canada, becoming the WBA World Light Flyweight Champion against Maria Guadalupe Batista out of Mexico. She won by unanimous decision and won a title that had been held by Batista since 2020. And that was a fight that took place in Toronto, Canada. And finally, I mentioned it the other day, but I'll mention it again. Congratulations in order as well for Gabriela Celeste Alanes on her Argentinian fighter becoming the WBA, WBO, WBC, and Ring World Flyweight Champion, winning against Marlon Esparza, a split decision out of U.S. 96 94, 97 93 for Alanis, and 98 92 for Esparza. That was a fight that took place in California very recently as well. So, congratulations to those three women. And let's see what else we've got lined up. Oh, yes. Looks like Texas is doing us a favor. YouTube, I'll just read this off boxingnews24.com for you. YouTuber, boxer Jake Paul and former unified heavyweight champ Mike Tyson will meet in an officially sanctioned professional bout this summer on July 20th. The Texas Commission had reportedly sanctioned the Paul versus Tyson fight to count in the record books for their match on Netflix pay-per-view at the AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. So Tyson, who's 50-6, 44 knockouts, turns 58 years old, though, on June 30th, will be competing in a professional fight for the first time in 19 years, since 2005, when he takes on Jake, who's 9-1, 6 knockouts. There's no official word on why the Texas Commission chose to sanction the fight as a professional match, but apparently it's not a popular decision, because if Tyson gets badly hurt in this fight, the backlash will be severe. Let's go on to see what other people are saying. BoxingScene.com. Good friend Lance Pugmire, he writes, now that Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul is a real fight, let the debates begin, he says. Such was the mood on Monday's episode of Pro Box TV's Deep Water when former world champs Timothy Bradley, Paulie Malignaggi, and Chris Algieri discussed the decision by Texas Department of Licensing Regulations to sanction Tyson Paul as legitimate bout. Said Malignaggi. They want betting odds on it. If it's an exhibition, there's no odds on it. The same type of reasoning follows in noting that Netflix's viewership and ticket sales at AT&T Stadium will now increase, that the Texas Commission has decided to let the Tyson-Paul proceed. By declaring it an official bout, Texas instituted some unique restrictions by requiring 8 2-minute-long rounds and 14-ounce gloves, not 10, but will allow for knockouts. That enthused Bradley, who clearly has a rooting interest for the 57-year-old over the YouTuber, who has piled up boxing victories against former UFC fighters Ben Askren, Anderson Silva, and Nate Diaz. Mike Tyson, knock his ass out, baby, Bradley roared. At first, I thought this was kind of crazy, but then I looked at the rules. Knockouts. And it's official. It can happen. 2 minutes is going in favor of Mike Tyson. No doubt about it, guys. All right. So one person who is not too happy with the decision was Frank Warren. And he was speaking to Simon Jordan and Jim White and said, I'm a big fan of Jake Paul as a promoter and his business partner, Nakisa Bedarian. They're very smart operators, and they obviously see this fight will generate public interest and money. But let's get it right. Mike Tyson is 58 years of age, and he shouldn't be fighting. It's as simple as that. If it was an exhibition, you get halfway with that. But the fact that Texas has licensed a 58-year-old to fight, not a happy Frank Warren. He says, what does anybody need to say about that? Anybody with an ounce of brains knows it's ridiculous. Let's get it right. You can be on a motorway stuck in a traffic jam, and you get to the end of it, and it's all people have stopped to look at a crash, and that was what this is. By the time Tyson climbs between the ropes on fight night, he'll just celebrate his 58th birthday, while Paul is in his physical prime at just 27 years of age. As we all know, the last time Tyson boxed in a professional contest was all the way back in 2005 when he was retired on his stool at the end of the sixth round against regional pro Kevin McBride. Meanwhile, Paul has been active, as I said earlier, and has fought 10 times with a 9-1 record. Given his advanced age, Warren anticipates we'll see vintage Tyson for one round before he inevitably fades away. He added, what will happen for one round is you're going to get vintage Mike Tyson. He'll come out throwing bombs for one round, and then it'll be a 58-year-old guy in the ring with a younger fella. Woo, zinga. Elsewhere, talking about bombs, Deontay Wilder versus Jared, the real big baby Anderson. How about that on the August 3rd undercard? It's a move absolutely nobody could have possibly seen coming, says James Slater at boxing247.com. But Turkey Alal Sheikh has written on social media how Deontay Wilder will fight unbeaten heavyweight prospect contender Jared Anderson on his massive August 3rd card in LA that will be topped by Terence Crawford fighting Israel Madrimov. Turkey wrote the news on X with a photo attached to his post showing himself with Anderson. He said, the talented Jared Anderson is with us now on August 3rd, Riyadh season at LA against the bronze bomber Deontay Wilder, if he's ready by then to fight after 1st of June fight against Yilai Zhang. I always believe that boxing would be at its peak when you have young American heavyweights like Jared Anderson, which I also believe in his talent and his promising future. Happy to collaborate with Top Rank again. Riyadh season card, 3rd of August in LA, will be one for the history. But will Wilder Anderson really happen? As soon as August 3rd, as fans know, we'll make it a little over 2 months after the Wilder Zhang fight. Obviously, if Zhang does a number on Wilder and beats him, all bets are off. Well, what if Wilder gets the win on June 1st but takes a good deal of punishment in doing so? Has Turkey jumped the gun here in all but announcing Wilder versus Anderson, says Slater. Of course, we fans would love to see the fight, even if it was wildly assumed Wilder, if he got past Zhang, would then begin calling again for a massive fight with Anthony Joshua. But again, the August 3rd card in LA has already been called by some as the greatest card ever held in America. And if we do get Wilder Anderson added to the slew of excellent fights, we already have to look forward to that night. Then more people will likely echo that opinion. As it is, we already have an intriguing, potential fun fight at heavyweight between Andy Ruiz and Jarrell Miller. And who wins if Wilder and Anderson do collide? Mighty fine question to ask. And this is all potentially, I might add, as a result of, you might recall me announcing the Eddie Hearn partnership with Deontay Wilder as captaining his 5x5 team down in Saudi Arabia. Deontay Wilder called this relationship a beautiful thing, keeping in mind they were once longtime rivals. They spent years at odds over an elusive fight between the American heavyweight and Anthony Joshua. But the promoter signed Wilder, as I said, capitalizing on the ex-champion's free agency. Hearn will promote Wilder as the 38-year-old prepares to face Yilai Zhang on June 1st on the undercard of Beterbiev versus Bivol. That undercard is built on that unique 5x5 concept, pitting 5 of Hearn's fighters against 5 of Frank Warren's fighters in Saudi Arabia. Discussing his relationship with Hearn, Wilder told Boxing News on Thursday, April 25th, "It's a beautiful thing. Over years of back and forth, disagreements, different little things, but life brings about change, and change is always good. When you look at it, you have to look at the landscape right now, and you've got some interesting guys like the Saudis that are in there. Everyone's changing everything about boxing, the way we promote it, the way we line up fights, all those different things. Why not have the change being able to work with each other? Why we don't have to like each other," he says, "to do business. But sometimes when you've been around a person long enough, you understand their ways, and they understand your ways, and you can coexist with each other. That's what it's all about. I'm glad that we're at this point in time where we can coexist with each other because I'm always a promoter's dream, and I think I'm a dream come true for Eddie. I'm happy to be part of Matchroom and be the captain. So as we all know, as we've all asked for years, we've been calling for a bout between Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, but that dream was never a closer reality than in December when the heavyweights fought at the same night, and a win for both men would have set up a clash between them. But Wilder was comprehensively beaten by Joseph Parker, whereas Joshua dispatched Otto Wallen. As a result, AJ went on to box ex-UFC champ Francis Ngannou in March, winning in round 2, while Wilder is preparing for Zhang. And a little bit more on Francis in a second. So if the Wilder-Anderson fight gets made, it'll be a big step up in class for the 24-year-old Jared. He's 17-0, 50 knockouts from the opposition he's been facing. Top Rank will be throwing Anderson to the wolves if the older seek and destroy version of Deontay shows up for that fight. Anderson was shaken up a couple of times in his fight against Charles Martin last year, and he doesn't have the greatest of chins. In Jared's recent fight against Riyad Mahrez, he fought like he was afraid to get clipped. Mahrez wasn't throwing any punches, yet Anderson was afraid to go after him and try to knock him out. The crowd ended up booing both fighters. After the fight, Anderson blamed Mahrez rather than himself for lack of action. When a fighter has a stiff in there with them, they're supposed to go after them, knock them out, but Jared looked scared to engage. Wow. Let's just do a quick little recap of the upcoming Tyson Fury Alexander Usyk fight. We all know it's taking place May 18th. That's a Saturday night after their original February 17th date was postponed. As we all know, it's taking place in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Ring walks get underway approximately 11 p.m. BST, with the main card likely to start around 6 p.m. BST. On the undercard, that's what I wanted to get at here. Who's fighting on that undercard? Okay, let's see. We all know that Fury and Usyk, they're fighting for the undisputed WBC, WBA, WBO, IBF heavyweight titles. We all know that. On that undercard, Jay Opetaia, Maris Brides for that vacant IBF cruiserweight title. That's going to be a great fight, but I think Opetaia is going to take it. Joe Cordina versus Anthony Kachi for the IBF super flyweight title. Ajit Kabayal versus Frank Sanchez. Sergey Kovalov versus Robin Serwin Safar. Mark Chamberlain versus Joshua Alawasian Wahib. Moses Atoma versus Alja Mezinchav. And David Nikia versus Michael Seitz. Isaac Lowe versus Hazibullah Ahmadi. So a pretty darn good card and pretty stacked up top. So it's going to be a great fight. Upcoming, Filip Hrgovic vows to smash Big Duck Daniel Dubois and then take out Anthony Joshua at Wembley. What a headline courtesy of BoxingScene.com. Let's have a quick look here. Filip Hrgovic is far too professional to overlook the threat posed by Daniel Dubois, but it would rather be fair to say that the unbeaten Croatian is supremely confident of beating the Londoner when they meet on June 1st. It has emerged that Hrgovic, 17-0, got the better of a young Dubois during a couple of sparring sessions. Despite a promise from the 26-year-old Dubois to put his opponent to sleep in Saudi Arabia, Hrgovic, who was willing to call his rival Big Duck after a clumsy cartoon character he used to watch as a child, hasn't seen anything to suggest things will be different when the pair swap punches for real. Hrgovic told Queensberry, "He's just a little baby for me. He's not going to put me to sleep. I fought much bigger punchers, and they haven't put me to sleep. He's not going to put me to sleep. I'm going to destroy him. He's not mature enough for me." When you see him, it's like you've taken a kid from the parents and put them in the middle of a big shopping mall. The kid is looking like, where are my parents? That's the way I see him. He looks kind of lost. He looks like he doesn't know where he needs to go. He's like a baby. Fighting words on Talk and Fight. And quickly, just to recap, a bit of sad news for Francis Ngannou, keeping in mind his incredible life story, which I'm sure will be a movie one day. As reported by the Daily Mail and many other outlets around the world, condolences pouring in for the poor fella here. The sanctioned professional fighter features a glaring age difference. Sorry, lost my story here. Sorry, here it is. Francis Ngannou's 15-month-old son, Kobe, dies just weeks after his Saudi mega fight with Anthony Joshua. Ex-UFC champion turned boxer shares heartbreaking post on social media. The Cameroon outlet 237online.com first reported the devastating news, and the former UFC champ turned boxer confirmed this with a heartbreaking social media post. It said, "Too soon to leave, but yet he's gone. My little boy, my mate, my partner Kobe was full of life and joy. Now he's laying without life. I shouted his name over and over, but he's not responding. I was my best self next to him, and now I have no clue who I am. Life is so unfair to hit us where it hurts the most. How do you deal with such a thing? How can you live with it? Please help me if you have an idea, because I really don't know what to do and how to deal with this." That is really, truly a shame and very sad news for the boxing world. Our heartfelt condolences as well go out to Francis Ngannou. And boxing fans, that wraps us up for another issue. Boxing News Today. Thanks for joining me here on Talk and Fight. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell for me, and we'll see you again here, as I say, on Talk and Fight.